My girlfriend told me her friends thought I was ugly and she could do better. So I just said thanks and hit the gym hard every day for 3 months. Then watched those same friends flirt with me all night at her birthday party. I was sitting on the couch scrolling through my phone when my girlfriend, Lena, walked in from brunch with her friends. She dropped her purse, kicked off her heels, and said it like she was talking about the weather. So, the girls think you're like a 4 out of 10, maybe a 5 on a good day. They said I could definitely do better. Just being honest. Then she walked off. No hesitation, no, I don't agree with them. Nothing. Just threw that grenade and left me in the smoke. I remember staring at the muted TV screen, feeling this weird stillness crawl up my neck. 4 out of 10. I wanted to laugh, but it just wouldn't come. I couldn't even be mad at first. I was just stunned at how casual she was about it. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her voice saying, just being honest, like she'd done me a favor. Around midnight, I went to the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror. I'd gained maybe 20 pounds since we started dating 2 years ago. Stopped caring about clothes. Same rotation of faded jeans and hoodies. Haircut from some strip mall chain. I guess I had let myself go. But then I thought about her friends, Jade, Maya, and Sierra. Jade, who posted thirst traps daily and bragged about cheating on her boyfriend. Maya, who cried about her ex every weekend while texting married men. Sierra, who flirted with my best friend right in front of her own boyfriend. And those were the people Lena was quoting as the moral authority on my looks? I laughed. Just once, but it felt empty. Then something shifted inside me. Not anger, not sadness. Just a quiet, sharp resolve. The next morning I joined a gym. At first, it wasn't about revenge or proving anyone wrong. It was survival. Every rep, every step on the treadmill was me trying to erase that sentence from my head. By week 2, I was waking up before dawn to work out. By week 4, I dropped 12 pounds. I swapped the hoodies for fitted shirts, learned what clothes actually looked good on me, got a real haircut from an actual barber. People at work started noticing. Even my boss said I looked sharper lately. Lena noticed too. Not in a good way. She started asking where I was going, why I cared so much about how I looked all of a sudden. Her tone wasn't curious. It was suspicious. By month 3, I'd lost nearly 25 pounds. I looked and felt like a different person. That's when Lena told me about her birthday dinner. Wear something nice, she said. My friends will all be there. They're bringing their boyfriends. Her friends. The same women who rated me like I was a product on clearance. Perfect. When I walked into that restaurant, the shift was instant. Maya's jaw literally dropped. Jade's eyes widened like she'd just seen a ghost. Sierra whispered something to Lena, then smiled at me. They started asking questions, laughing at everything I said, brushing their hands against my arm. And Lena? She went silent, cold, watching me like she didn't recognize who I was anymore. That night, in the car, she exploded. Accused me of loving the attention. Said I'd changed. I told her, you said your friends thought I was a 4. Guess I finally worked my way up to a 6. She didn't laugh. And that was the moment, right there with her shaking in the passenger seat, that I realized this wasn't just about insecurity or attraction. It was about control. What I didn't know then was that she hadn't told me the whole truth about what her friends said that day at brunch. And when I found out what they'd really said, it would burn everything down. Before that day, I really thought Lena and I were solid. We'd been together 2 years, lived together for 1. We weren't the most passionate couple anymore, but we had a rhythm. Groceries on Sundays, Netflix every night, small talk that felt like comfort. Or at least I thought it was comfort. Looking back, I realized she'd been slowly chipping away at me for months. Little digs wrapped in honesty. Do you ever think about trying a new style? You should smile more in photos. You used to be so confident when we met. When we started dating, I was the one people noticed. I had a decent job, social life, energy. But she didn't like that. She called my friends immature. Said she preferred quality time over going out every weekend. It sounded sweet at the time. Until I noticed she only wanted me around her people. Her friends, her plans, her world. And her friends? They were a different breed of toxic. The kind that fed off each other's drama like oxygen. Jade, the self-proclaimed alpha of the group, was the loudest voice at brunch tables, the one who treated men like collectibles. Maya was quiet but manipulative, the kind who'd play innocent while stirring up tension behind the scenes. And Sierra, she was Lena's shadow. Always following, always agreeing, always watching me too long when Lena wasn't looking. I tried to stay polite around them, but they made it impossible. Every conversation was a competition. Every joke I made got picked apart. Every compliment turned into a backhanded comment. Still, I figured it was harmless, just women gossiping. Until that brunch. Lena told me later how it happened. They were at some rooftop place downtown, mimosas and ego on the table. According to her, Jade started it. She'd been scrolling through her phone showing the others some influencer couple. And she said, "See, Lena could totally have that. No offense, but your guy's average." Maya chimed in, "Yeah, like a 4 or 5 tops. But you've got potential as a power couple if he cleaned up." Then Sierra laughed and said, "I'd give him a 6 if he hit the gym. Cute face, but soft." That's when Lena should have said something. But she didn't. She laughed too. And that's the part she didn't tell me until much later, that she laughed when they rated me like a product on a shelf. She told me she only brought it up later because she thought I deserved honesty. But that's not what it was. It was a test. A way to knock me down and see how I'd react. And I failed, at least in her eyes, because I didn't fight back. I didn't yell, or defend myself, or demand an apology. I just went quiet. That's what scared her. She didn't know what quiet meant for me, because quiet is what I become right before I change everything. 3 weeks after that, I signed up for the gym. Not a casual New Year's resolution gym. A serious one with trainers who made you bleed for progress. I woke up before dawn, worked out before work, stopped drinking, cut sugar, tracked calories. I built discipline like armor. Lena didn't know what to do with the new version of me. She started asking, "Why are you obsessed with the gym?" And, "Who are you trying to impress?" I told her, myself. She didn't believe me. By month 2, I wasn't just losing weight. I was changing energy. Standing straighter. Talking differently. People looked at me differently. That confidence she used to have over me started slipping through her fingers. And when her birthday came around, she thought she'd get to show off her improved boyfriend to her friends. She had no idea that her friends were about to show her something. Something that would unravel everything between us. Because that night wasn't just about revenge or validation. It was the night I realized just how deep their games went. And what Lena had done to keep me under control. The restaurant was one of those trendy, dimly lit places downtown where everyone talks too loud and pretends to be someone they're not. Lena loved that kind of scene, expensive cocktails, Instagram lighting, fake smiles. I hated it. But that night I didn't care. Because for the first time in months I looked good. Really good. I dropped 25 pounds. Got my hair done by an actual barber. Started wearing fitted shirts that didn't hang off me like bedsheets. When I walked in, even the hostess gave me a second look. Lena didn't notice, but her friends sure did. They were already at the table when we arrived. Jade in some tight dress like she was auditioning for attention. Maya pretending to be sweet as always, and Sierra with her fake laugh ready to go. The second they saw me, the energy shifted. I felt it like static in the air. Jade's smile froze mid-sentence. Maya's eyes went wide, scanning me up and down before blurting, "Wow, someone's been busy at the gym." Sierra leaned forward, hand on her wine glass, and said softly, "Lena, you didn't tell us your boyfriend was hot now." The table went quiet for half a second before Jade laughed it off. "Careful, Sierra, you're drooling. It was supposed to be a joke." But it landed wrong. Lena's face tightened. She tried to steer the conversation somewhere else, but it kept circling back. My progress, my looks, my job. Every question was a compliment in disguise. "Where do you work out? You got a trainer, right? You're glowing." Must be all the confidence. It was all harmless on the surface until I realized something. They weren't just surprised. They were jealous. And Lena? She wasn't proud. She was angry. I caught her glaring at me across the table when Maya laughed too hard at something I said. I caught her shifting her chair closer whenever one of her friends touched my arm to make a point. By dessert, she wasn't even pretending to smile anymore. After dinner, everyone decided to go to a rooftop bar for drinks. I told Lena I'd drive home instead. She didn't argue, just said, "Fine," grabbed her bag, and stormed out ahead of me. The ride home was silent, except for her breathing, sharp and uneven. When we pulled into the parking lot, she finally snapped. "You loved that, didn't you? Them fawning over you like that. You couldn't stop smiling." I stared out the windshield. "You told me they thought I was ugly. Now they think otherwise. Not sure what I'm supposed to do with that." "You could have told them to stop," she shot back. "Stop what?" "Being hypocrites." Her voice cracked. "You don't get it. They were laughing at me. They said I'd peaked when I met you, that I was dating down. I told them you'd change, that you'd prove them wrong. But instead, you made me look like an idiot." I turned to her. "So that's what this was about? You didn't want me to be better for me. You wanted to be able to show me off." She looked away, tears starting to form. "You weren't supposed to change like this." That line stuck in my head the whole night. You weren't supposed to change like this. As if my growth was a betrayal. The next few weeks were chaos. She became clingy, texting constantly, accusing me of hiding things, showing up at my gym unannounced. One night, she even checked my phone while I was asleep. And then it got worse. Her best friend Jade started DMing me on Instagram. First, it was, "Hey, what's your workout routine?" Then, "You're seriously killing it lately." Then, "We should go running sometime, just us." I didn't respond. When Lena found out, she freaked. Not because she was mad at Jade, but because she thought I had encouraged it. "You love this attention," she screamed. "You love watching my friends turn on me." I didn't say a word. I just showed her the messages. Unread. Untouched. She went pale. Quiet. Then said something I'll never forget. "You should have ignored me that day at brunch. You should have stayed the same. Then none of this would have happened." That's when I realized she didn't just want control. She wanted me small, insecure, dependent, easy to manage. But she'd made one huge mistake. She wasn't the only one keeping secrets anymore. Because I'd started hearing rumors, whispers from people in her friend group, about what really happened that day at brunch. And who had really started the rating game. A week after the birthday dinner, I got a text from one of Lena's old coworkers. Someone I barely knew but who still followed me on Instagram. "Hey, random question. Are you still with Lena? Because I was at that brunch a few months ago when she and her friends were talking about you." I froze. I hadn't told anyone the details of that brunch. Only Lena and her friends knew what was said. I texted back, "Yeah, I remember that day. Why?" She hesitated before sending a wall of text that changed everything. "It wasn't just about looks. Jade started it as a joke, but Lena took it further. She said she felt trapped with you, said you'd stop trying and that she was thinking of ending it after her birthday. The whole rating thing was part of her reason for leaving. She was testing how much she could humiliate you before you'd finally snap. When you didn't, they laughed about it." I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling my chest tighten like a fist around my ribs. So it wasn't honesty. It was a rehearsal for a breakup. She hadn't told me her friends thought I was a 4. She'd led them to say it. She'd fed them lines, planned it, then delivered it to me like she was doing me a favor. For weeks, I'd been killing myself in the gym trying to be better, and she'd been preparing her exit, until it backfired. Because the moment her friends started flirting with me, her plan fell apart. She couldn't dump me while her friends were suddenly into me. That would have made her look jealous, not superior. So she flipped the script. She went from planning to leave me to pretending to be the wounded girlfriend who just wanted to help me improve. And the sickest part? She almost pulled it off. That night, when she came home, I asked straight up, "Did you tell your friends you were thinking of breaking up with me before your birthday?" Her face changed instantly, that flicker of panic people get when they know you already have the answer. "Who told you that?" "Doesn't matter. Just tell me if it's true." She looked down, rubbed her temples, then whispered. I was frustrated. I said things I didn't mean. You said you were going to end it. I was venting. You'd gotten so lazy, so comfortable. I wanted to scare you into changing. So you humiliated me on purpose? I didn't humiliate you. I motivated you. That sentence hit me like a punch. She genuinely believed that cruelty was justified if it produced the result she wanted. I said quietly, you don't motivate people by breaking them. She glared. Well, it worked, didn't it? You look great now. Everyone says so. You should be thanking me. That was when I knew she was gone. Not physically, but morally. There was no remorse, just self-preservation. I started pulling away after that, emotionally first, then physically. Stopped answering her texts right away. Spent more time at work. Hit the gym alone. Every time she'd ask what was wrong, I'd just say, nothing. But inside I was planning. Because I wasn't going to let her walk away pretending to be the victim. I wanted the truth to come out. What she did, what she said. How she used me like a mirror to boost her own ego. So I started gathering proof. Screenshots, messages, dates, everything her friends had said, every message they'd sent after her birthday. And when I finally had enough, I sent one of them, the one where Jade told me she should have met me before Lena did. Straight to Lena. Her response came 5 minutes later. Don't ever embarrass me like this again. That was all she said. No denial, no outrage, just embarrassment. That's when I realized the first real truth of the whole situation. Lena didn't love me. She loved owning me. And now that control was slipping away. But the second twist, the one that would blow everything up, hadn't even hit yet. Because Jade wasn't done playing games. And this time, her target wasn't Lena. It was me. After that confrontation, things between me and Lena were basically over. She just didn't want to admit it yet. She started sleeping on the couch some nights, leaving early for girl dinners, coming home smelling like tequila and cheap perfume. And whenever I'd ask where she'd been, she'd say, out. Don't start. But what she didn't know was that I'd already started. I'd saved everything, screenshots of Jade's DMs, timestamps of her flirty messages, even the gym camera footage that caught her hovering near my treadmill pretending to bump into me. I wasn't planning to post it anywhere. I'm not that kind of person, but I needed evidence. Because people like Lena and Jade, they rewrite history. I wasn't going to give them that chance. Then one night, Jade pushed too far. It was close to midnight when I got a message. Heard you and Lena are basically done. She's been crying to everyone. But honestly, she doesn't deserve you. I didn't reply, so she sent another one. I mean it. You've changed. You look incredible. You should let someone who actually appreciates that take care of you. That's when I knew exactly what kind of revenge I wanted. Not screaming, not drama, exposure. Because Jade had been the one whispering poison in Lena's ear since day one. She's the one who'd pushed that rating conversation at brunch. She's the one who told Lena she needed to motivate me. And now she was trying to crawl her way into my DMs, hoping I'd be dumb enough to bite so she could twist it later. I wasn't going to fall for it. I was going to let her hang herself with her own words. So I played along. Just enough. I replied, that's a bold thing to say about your best friend's boyfriend. She responded almost instantly, she's not really my best friend anymore. Not after the way she treated you. We all see it. You deserve better. Got it. Hook set. Over the next few days, I kept it casual, short replies, polite, nothing explicit. Meanwhile, I kept screenshots of everything. Every compliment. Every hint. Every lie. A week later, Lena came home looking like she'd seen a ghost. She slammed her phone down on the counter and said, why is Jade messaging you? I looked her straight in the eye and said, why don't you ask her? She grabbed her phone and started texting furiously. I watched her face change. Anger, confusion, then full-on panic. She says you started it. Of course she does, I said. Check the timestamps. Lena scrolled, her lips trembling. Then she stopped talking altogether. I left her there, sitting in silence, and went for a walk. That was the night I decided I was done waiting for things to collapse. If they wanted drama, I was going to give it to them. But on my terms. So I reached out to a mutual friend, someone neutral who everyone in their circle trusted, and I told him everything. The brunch, the rating, the DMs, the manipulation, the lies. I sent him the screenshots. I didn't tell him to share them. I knew he would. By the next afternoon, I could feel the fallout. Lena's friends stopped posting their usual group selfies. Jade went private on all her accounts. Maya deleted half her feed. And Lena? She came home that night crying. Not apologizing, just crying. "Everyone's turning on me," she said. "Maybe now you know how it feels," I said. She tried to spin it. Tried to say I'd violated her trust. That I'd gone nuclear. But it was too late. The truth was out. Still, I wasn't done. Because what I didn't realize until then was that Jade wasn't just a liar. She was dangerous. 2 days later, I got a call from my gym manager saying there'd been a harassment complaint filed against me. Anonymous. Female member. Sound familiar? Yeah. It was Jade. And that was the moment I knew this wasn't just revenge anymore. It was war. 2 days after the gym call, I got another one, this time from HR. An anonymous report about inappropriate behavior toward female coworkers. No names. No details. Just vague enough to sound believable. That's when it hit me. They weren't just trying to humiliate me anymore. They were trying to ruin me. I went straight to my boss, explained everything, the breakup, the friends, the harassment complaint, all of it. He looked at me for a long second, then said, "I believe you. Keep your head down. We'll handle this quietly." It should have been a relief, but it wasn't. Because if Jade had escalated it this far, it meant Lena was in on it. And I was right. That weekend, I got a message from a fake account. No profile picture, no followers, with screenshots attached. My own texts with Jade. Cropped, edited, twisted to make it look like I'd been the one flirting first. "You're disgusting," the message said. "She deserves better than you." My stomach dropped. It wasn't just about my reputation anymore. They wanted proof that I was the villain. I opened the screenshots again, compared them to the originals. The timestamps were out of order. Whole sentences were missing. Jade had cut out her own messages and rearranged mine to make it look like I'd initiated everything. And then, the final blow. Lena posted something vague but pointed on her Instagram story. "When someone shows you who they really are, believe them. Grateful for real friends." Thousands of people saw it. Her friends commented crying emojis and heart hands. One of them tagged Jade. They weren't even being subtle. I wanted to lose it, but instead I waited. Because I still had one thing they didn't know about, that gym video. A week before, when Jade showed up at my gym in full makeup and a brand new workout outfit, I'd recorded her hitting on me. She'd laughed, said Lena told her we were done, and when I pulled my phone out, she panicked and ran off. I hadn't shared it with anyone yet. I'd been saving it, and now I knew why. That night, I sent a single message to Lena. "You should tell Jade to stop lying. I have proof." She replied almost immediately. "Proof of what?" "Of what she said. At the gym. The lies about us breaking up." No answer. 10 minutes later, a knock on my door. It was Lena. Eyes red, mascara streaked, shaking. "You recorded her?" she asked. "Yeah. Can I see it?" I played the clip right there in front of her. Jade laughing, touching my arm, saying, "She told me you two were done." When the video ended, Lena just sat there, silent, staring at the floor. Finally, she said quietly, "I didn't tell her that." "Then how did she know about our fight?" "Because I told her we were having problems." "And you didn't think she'd use that as an opening?" Her voice cracked. "I didn't think she'd lie. But I saw it in her eyes." She wasn't sorry. She was scared. Scared because her whole narrative was falling apart. And then came the part that changed everything. Because while I was dealing with the HR mess, Lena had gone to Jade for advice. And Jade, according to screenshots Lena accidentally left open on my laptop later, had told her something insane. "If you can make him look like the bad guy, you'll come out on top. People always side with the woman. Trust me." So it had been planned. The fake messages, the gym complaint, the anonymous HR report. It wasn't an accident. It was a strategy. And Lena had agreed to it. That was the second twist. The moment I realized this wasn't about hurt feelings or jealousy anymore. It was about punishment. They wanted to destroy me for daring to grow beyond them. And if that was the game they wanted to play, I was finally ready to end it. When I found out what they'd really done, how deep it went, it stopped feeling personal. It felt predatory. I'd been a target since day one. I only learned the full story because of Maya, the quiet one in Lena's friend group. She reached out one night after the fallout had started. Her message was simple. You didn't deserve what happened. You should know the truth. I almost ignored it, but something in me said to read on. Maya explained everything. Jade had been obsessed with power. She liked winning men away from other women, not because she wanted them, but because she could. It was like a game to her. She'd done it before twice. And when Lena started dating me, Jade got jealous. Not because of me specifically, but because I didn't flirt back with her. Apparently, she'd tried. I hadn't noticed at the time, but Maya said Jade had been flirting with me the first few months Lena and I dated. Subtle little things, inside jokes, accidental touches. When it didn't work, she started planting seeds in Lena's head. She told her I was too comfortable, that I was losing my drive. She told her, you need to test him. See what he'll do if you knock his confidence. And Lena, who always wanted Jade's approval, listened. The rating at brunch wasn't spontaneous. Jade scripted it. She told the others ahead of time. Let's be brutally honest with her about him. Maybe it'll light a fire under him. If he actually steps up, then she can thank me later. Lena thought it was harmless. She didn't know it was meant to humiliate me. But Jade knew. Maya said Jade even bragged about it later, that she wanted to break me down and rebuild me into someone obsessed with proving himself. And it worked. For a while. Until it backfired. When I transformed, lost the weight, got confident, changed my energy, I flipped her power dynamic upside down. Suddenly, she wasn't the puppet master anymore. She was the one staring at someone she couldn't control. And she hated that. That's why she hit on me after Lena's birthday. That's why she faked the gym complaint. That's why she edited those texts. It wasn't random. It was revenge for rejecting her control. But the most chilling part? Maya told me Jade had said, word for word, I'm going to make him wish he'd never tried to outgrow her. Not outgrow us. Not cheat. Just outgrow her. That's when I finally understood. This was never about Lena loving me or Jade wanting me. It was about ownership. Jade controlled Lena. Lena tried to control me. And when I broke the chain, they needed to punish me for it. Because to people like them, confidence is treason. Maya ended her message with, I've seen her do this before. She ruins people and then plays the victim. Be careful. She's not done yet. I thanked her and blocked her right after. Not because I was angry, because I didn't want anyone from that world in my life again. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at the evidence, screenshots, messages, recordings. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure. But closure doesn't come from silence. It comes from exposure. So I made a decision. I wasn't just going to walk away quietly. I was going to show them what it feels like to lose control. I didn't want a messy, dramatic finale. I wanted meticulous, cold. Something so precise it left no room for their usual victim act. For months I'd kept everything. The DMs, the edited screenshots, the gym clip where Jade told me Lena we're done, the anonymous complaint timestamps. I'd built a file that read like a confession. First, I used the thing they loved most, their audience. I didn't post anything myself. That would have made me the angry ex. Instead, I leaked selectively, anonymously, to people who actually mattered, the mutual friends who would call them on their bullshit, the coworkers who'd seen the HR note, the one friend of Lena's who knew Jade's history with games. I sent the unedited gym clip. I sent the original DMs with timestamps. I sent a short, factual email to Lena's workplace's HR, not to smear her job, but to warn that she was using workplace connections to weaponize gossip. I wanted clarity, not sensationalism. The meltdown was immediate and surgical. Mutual friends stopped liking their posts. Group chats went quiet. People who'd only ever chosen sides to stay comfortable now asked questions they couldn't unask. The story didn't land as a melodrama. It landed as a pattern. When you show evidence instead of rage, it's harder for people to gaslight you back into the victim role. Jade tried to push back. She posted vague stories, called me toxic in group DMs, texted my neighbors through fake accounts. I forwarded all of it to the same people who had seen the proof. One of Lena's friends, the one who'd always been only half committed to Jade's narratives, messaged me privately. "We didn't know it was this bad. I'm sorry." That apology felt like oxygen. Then there was Lena. She went from tears to furious messages accusing me of sabotage. I didn't respond. Instead, I walked into a coffee shop 2 blocks from her apartment and signed the lease on a 1-bedroom I'd been stalking for weeks. I moved out the same week. I boxed up the things that were mine, left behind the hoodie she liked but never said thanks for, and left the apartment the way someone leaves a bad job. Politely, efficiently, and without slamming the door. The legal things got quiet. The gym manager dropped Jade's complaint after I showed the original footage. HR at my company closed their inquiry because my boss corroborated the timeline. People who had once whispered suddenly apologized publicly, not in front of everyone, but personally, which mattered more. The social consequences were real. Jade lost her informal clout, the group fractured, and Lena found herself in the middle of a silence she couldn't charm her way out of. The strangest part was how small I felt for a second after it was all over. Not because I'd failed, but because I'd carried the weight of months of cruelty and then let it go. I dated someone new eventually. A teacher named Claire who had her own life and her own friends and didn't need my insecurity to prop up her self-worth. She saw me for me, not for what I used to be or who my ex wanted me to be. That felt like medicine. People ask if I regret the gym, the clothes, the time I spent getting my life together because of a mean brunch. No, I don't regret growing. I only regret staying too long with someone who thought shame could be a tool. When Lena blocked me, when Jade tried the last petty move, flowers to my new place with no card, I threw them out and laughed. Not the ugly, desperate laugh I used to hear in my head when someone called me a 4. A quiet laugh that sounded like relief. I learned how to build myself again on my terms, and how to recognize the people who'll try to keep you small. That was the revenge and the resolution. Not to break them, but to stop letting them define me. It's a cleaner victory that way. And the kicker? The last time I saw them, months later at a mutual friend's barbecue, Lena walked past me like she'd never known me. I felt nothing. Then I walked away and let her keep the title of honest. I'd already upgraded my life. You don't have to wait for someone to give you permission to be better. Sometimes the only honest thing is doing it without them.